Hey YouTube, it's your boy Widgie here, coming at you with some more Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, and today we have the smaller than usual update, yet this has got to be quite a big update because there's a lot of changes here and the devs are calling it a smaller than usual update, and I'm just going to be showing you quite a lot in the Civ balance section. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. We have the update 13.10442. And if we have a little scroll down, we're not going to touch upon too much of the game, the graphics, the UI. I want to get stuck in and have a quick discussion around the Civ balance section, because of course we've got the new Malta and Italy civilizations and there's going to be a lot of changes. So let's have a quick look here. We can see we've got the deflect aura first straight off the bat. General Civ balance is here. Units with deflect no longer protect artillery, except the Papal Bombard, which already only protects artillery. Okay, right, fair enough. The Irish Brigadier. So we've got lots of mercenary units here, and added missing cavalry and shock infantry multipliers, corrected erroneous tooltip for the Irish Brigadiers. And we can see that there's Jaeger mercenary. So these are lots of mercenary cards that are available to both Malta and Italy. So if you haven't played them, just go and give them a try. DLC is really good value for money and you get a lot of content. So Jaeger Mercenary fixed a bug where it did not benefit from the counter infantry rifling upgrade. Okay. The Winged Hussars is a very well-known sort of card that you can go for. It's now delivered by Shipments and Technologies, now has identical stats to the unit trained from the Vassal Royal House trading posts. And we've got the Boya, the Fanar Royal House, now also inflicts 1.2 times to artillery. The Lipcard Tartar. Damage is now reduced to 12.5 from 16. That's quite significant. The good old Dervish, the Sudanese kingdom, now properly inflicts reduced damage to skirmisher types. The Bosniak, hit points have been reduced to 550 from 600. Damage reduced as well, and cost has increased. So triple buff there to the good old Bosniak mercenary card. The Armored Pistoliers. Now this was quite a big thing. A lot of people abusing the Armored Pistoliers and just training them, and it got kind of crazy. There couldn't really be seen a good counter. Also in team games, it became a real nuisance because you had a good team card for it as well. Let's have a look. The range damage is reduced to 45 from 53. So that is, you know, more than a 10%, 15% reduction there. Quite significant. Melee damage reduced to 25 from 37 as well. We have two outlaw units here. The Haj Duk, I think that is. Corrected range to 18 from 13, quite significant, very significant. Corrected the damage to 13 from 18, is no longer being rolled on non-European maps. Previously was erroneously in the mercenary rotation. We've got the Krabat, which is half the hand attack damage to make this novel unit type more fair against skirmisher types. Its intended counter, but increased cavalry multipliers for no overall damage change against cavalry. Now properly also counters shock infantry. Cost increase to 150. So basically the Krabat is essentially an anti-cav unit, and people were using that quite religiously against skirmisher types, which should be the counter. So they've changed the hand attack damage. They've halved that, so it's not as bad. Technologies, we got the Jaegilian Legacy or Royal House, cost corrected to intended value of 200 wood, food and coin from 200 wood only. And long lines, fixed an issue causing the long lines tech to be available in an age later than usual. And we do have some cards here. We've got the Water Ceremony, which is interesting. So no longer benefits mercenary warships, such as the Battleship, the Mighty Battleship, sorry. We have Native Law, now makes native technologies 20% cheaper. It previously removed any coin costs. Okay, so that might be just a sort of a leveling thing there, a change to the macro required. I don't think overall it's either a nerf or a buff there, we'll have to see. And finally, this is a big one, fencing school for warrior priests. Now I've got to say, this is a nerf for the Aztecs, and it doesn't actually say it's specifically for the Aztecs here. I am assuming that it's, yeah, it can only really be talking about the Aztecs, right? Unless I'm wrong. But no longer boosts warrior priest creation speed. So this is big because a lot of people would use the fencing school, sometimes in team games. I don't know so much in 1v1s, but that will be a road to go down to get your warrior priests out really quickly. So quite a change. Let's look at the specifics. We have the Maltese. Now, fingers crossed, ladies and gents, Malta gets a bit of a buff. They are a little bit low at the moment, lower than Italy at the moment, and there are quite a few issues with the Civ that I found and other people have found that need to change. So let's see what it says. Civilization Civ bonus now also properly improves the fire throwers and heavy cannon hit points by 2% with each card shipped. That's good because that's essentially a bug. The fire throwers are basically like a skirmisher unit, sort of like a bit like the grenadier type unit that have like an AOE damage, and they can be quite good. Let's have a look at the units and buildings. Fire thrower ranged armor reduced to 35%, so that's a nerf, that's unfortunate. Fixed gun is now a bit more relaxed about where it can be placed on the map. Not a balanced change, purely just quality of life. Now properly contributes towards in-game score. Okay, so the fixed gun, a lot of people have been moaning about it because it's not a great card to go for. Obviously, it's a fixed gun, it can't be moved. And you got to be really good. You got to think about the future of where you place that fixed gun on the map, because if it doesn't give you that value, it kind of sucks. And also it can't shoot units right next to it. So if there's units sieging it, it can't do anything about it. So it does kind of suck in that regard. The depot now properly contributes towards the in-game score. Once again, that's nice. So we've got an inflated score, so it's a bit more accurate. And the commandery wagon now builds faster like other wagons. That's actually going to be really, really good for getting your tempo going in the early stages of the game, getting that commandery up quickly. Let's have a look at the cards. Now, a lot of people mentioned about the tongue cards, making them more viable and useful for the Civ, seeing as that's like one of the main mechanics of the civilization. So let's see. German tongue, cost reduced to 450 from 500, arrives in 40 seconds down from 60. This is really good. I think this now makes German tongue viable, especially if you want to go for a sort of slightly greedy sort of eco opening and you want to go for the Sentinel and Hussar play. Think about it. Sentinels, they cost a lot of population, they cost a lot of food and gold. You're going to need settler wagons to boost your economy very early to get you that organic sort of food and gold trickle, you could say, into your coffers, so that you can then spend that on Sentinels. So I think making this change is great. It's not a huge buff, but the arriving in 40 seconds down from 60 is massive. So once again, hopefully, fingers crossed, that will improve the tempo of the civilization. We have Vittoriosa, which is essentially the Age 3 card, where originally it says here, the effect is tweaked to arrives fast. It makes settlers and town centers significantly cheaper, whereas previously it enables you to construct an additional TC and makes settlers significantly cheaper. So it's not only increasing, actually it doesn't increase the build limit of the town centers, which I think is good because, you know, a lot of times in supremacy games, especially 1v1s, you're not going to build the max limit of TCs. And I think doing this, where settlers and TCs are significantly cheaper, we'll have to see how cheaper it is. What are we talking? Are we talking 50%? I'm not too sure. I'm sure you guys can let me know down in the comments below. We have the Herberges effects tweaked to commanderies now also support population, and order units are less expensive, where previously it gains hit points and now also supports population. So this is much better. Order units are less expensive. We're going to have to see how less that is. If it's 20%, 30%, that's going to be really, really nice. A good card to go for if you're going to be wanting to pump out commandery units. 8 fire throws increased to 9, a good buff as well. The Irish Brigadiers, it now ships them with their intended stats. Previously shipped an SPC variant, not too sure what that means. But hopefully, I don't know whether that's a buff or nerf, but the Irish Brigadiers are one of the sort of most popular sort of mercenary cards to go for in Age 2 right now for Malta. Flintlock Rockets now increases Sentinel stats and cost by 35% up from 25. Charge attack damage is reduced. Charge attack now inflicts 0.25 to artillery, down from 0.34. Okay, so it increases Sentinel stats and cost, so that's a pretty decent buff, but then the charge attack is reduced a bit, and obviously the damage against artillery. Okay, I'm not too sure about the Flintlock Rockets. I don't know if they're a bit gimmicky. I'm not entirely sure. The Sentinels do need a tweak or potentially an overhaul. I think that unit needs, to be honest, but we'll see. Squires, Age 3 card, military building work rate improvement increased to 80% from 70. A nice buff there. The PayPal Ball, the Knights of the Hospital Tech. This card unlocks now costs 1500 wood, but instead it ships 1 Hospitaler for each hospital, up from 1 Hospitaler for each 2 hospitals. This should help with the start army in the treaty game mode. Okay, we have Merchant Republics. Move to Age 1 no longer grants a trading post wagon. Interesting. The Merchant Republics. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the same for the Italians because they have the same card. The Merchant Republics was one where it would give you extra resources if you upgraded the TP line, it would give you more resources. But now it's an age 1 and it doesn't give you a trading post wagon. So what's the benefit of moving that to age 1? Is that something to go for early if you want to go for the TP even earlier? Is it worth it? I'm not so sure. Moving on to the Italians themselves. So units and buildings, the Papal Guard, cavalry damage multiplier has been increased. Okay, a buff. The Zouave or the Zouave increased the range attack to 32 from 21, but increased hit points to 300 from 215. Jesus, that is a monumental buff to that Papal unit. The Leonardo's tank, if you know how to get it, it's a bit stronger now, but don't tell anyone. I like that. The Lombard investment cap increased to 3,000. That is significant. So especially as you get into the later game and you're investing more resources into those Lombards, you're going to have double the space to do that. So that's really nice. The Basilica shipments of spies and priests now take 30 seconds to arrive, down from 60. Very nice. Moving on to the cards now. The Uffizi. The Uffizi card, really popular card for age 2. It used to, as you can see here, it used to trickle 0.4 XP per second for each different resource. So it used to get a maximum of 1.2 XP a second, which used to be absolutely huge. Now they only provide a static 0.5 when converting any type of investment, so it's not stackable. So the maximum you can get from a Lombard is 0.5 XP. I think this is a little bit overkill. But I know that the Lombards are a little bit ridiculous when you do mass them up, especially with the Uffizi. You get so much XP. It is kind of ridiculous. Have they gone too far with it? I'm not sure. Let's look at the Papal Arsenal. Basilica shipments, arrival speed improvement reduced to 33 from 50%. Okay. Slight nerf there. The Advanced Politicians, quite an important one here. The Advanced Governor now only delivers 1 outpost and 300 coin, changed from 2 outposts and 200 coin. To be honest, if someone's going to go for that now, they're not going to pick the Governor. It's just not worth it. An extra 100 coin, it's not even worth using that card. So, I mean, it's still worth using the card, but you don't want to be using the Governor for it. You might want to use the Lombard option, which is the Medici age up. That gives you a Lombard and 3 villagers, I think, instead of a Lombard and 2. Team Marco Polo, a ridiculous card that basically reveals the entirety of the map, and you get double XP. You get double rewards from resource treasures. This has now been moved to H2. I think that's a great move. Good choice. Albanian company now delivers 3 Stradiots and 4 Bosniaks, down from 4 and 4. That's really good because that was kind of a powerful mercenary card. The Merchant Republics has also changed for the Italians as well. Moving on to the Ethiopian, starting cattle has been reduced to 3 from 4, so that is a nerf straight off the bat, a significant one. Units and buildings, the Mountain Monastery cost has been reduced, now gathers mines within a 0.86 resources per second, up from 0.72. The Aben also gathers at this improved speed, so the Mountain Monastery has been given a buff for the Ethiopians. Very nice. It's good to see that they're still getting some love for the African civs. The Sebastopol Mortar, the big boy, damage reduced to 300 in the Fortress Age, but DPS is restored to normal in the Industrial. Okay, so not as effective in Age 3 there for the Mortar. And the cards, wow, the 4 villages in Age 2 has been removed. Jesus, so I think, honestly, you know, Ethiopia taking an overall hit there, not too nice. Hausa as well, starting cattle being reduced. Shipments, experience required for each increased by 8%. Ouch. Units in building, the Griot, the annoying Griot unit with their silly horn. The attack rate of it is now reduced. Reduces enemy DPS by 40, down from 50. Improved by 1.5 area effect by the Magwazawa card. Is now down from +2. So yeah, a nerf there to the Griot. Let's see what that does. And the Lafidi Knight, one of the main units in the composition for the Hausa civilization. And that is absolutely huge. Look at that. 430 to 375, and however, the attack has been increased. The attack has been increased, but the hit points have been reduced, which I think's fair. Looking at the cards quickly, the 3 villages has been added for an Age 1. Interesting, so that could be viable for Hausa, but the 4 villages have been removed. And there's some additional minor changes here. I'm not going to go into these ones too much, guys, so please feel free to have a look at this. I'm not going to go into all of those. And just a little bit at the bottom there, some ongoing stuff. They're looking at performance and FPS stability and some home city customizations for the 2 Native American civs. There you go, guys. That is it in a nutshell. Hopefully I didn't go on for too long. How long has it been? It's been nearly 15 minutes. It's your boy Widgie. I'll catch you in the next video on the next stream. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about all this. They say it's a small update. I think it's pretty goddamn significant. I don't know what you think. And of course, if you found this useful, if you found it entertaining, of course, please feel free to drop a like, and I'll catch you in the next one.